What is a small Chinese town like after 10 p.m.? That night, I walked alone through the pouring rain, in a place I barely knew, yet I never felt afraid. Hi, I'm Lan. Welcome to my channel. I share what everyday life is really like here in China. It was a little after 7 p.m. when we arrived beside the Li River. We had already spent several days in Yangshuo, but the continuous rain meant that we still had not really seen the clear, open river view we had imagined. Even though a light drizzle was still falling, we decided to come out for a walk anyway. The sky had faded into a deep blue, while the lights from the shops and passing cars reflected across the wet street. We parked near Jijiang Tower, an old viewing tower overlooking the Li River. Its illuminated roof stood out against the night sky. Inside the tower, several young women dressed in elaborate ethnic-inspired clothing were having travel portraits taken. In recent years, this kind of travel photography has become very popular in China. Many visitors rent special outfits and take photos against the scenery of the places they visit. I slowly walked around Jijiang Tower. When I turned toward the river, the Li River and Yangshuo's karst mountains gradually unfolded through the evening mist. Low clouds softened the outlines of the peaks, while days of rain made the river appear wider and deeper. I walked down the steps from Jijiang Tower toward the platform below for a closer look at the Li River. When I reached the platform closest to the river, I could see more clearly how the recent rain had made the Li River fast-flowing and muddy, completely different from the clear green water I remembered from my first visit to Yangshuo. The steps leading down to the lower platform were already underwater, and the bamboo rafts along the shore were temporarily unable to operate. Taking a bamboo raft along the Li River is one of Yangshuo's most popular experiences, but water level was clearly too high that evening. It was not the classic postcard view of Yangshuo, yet many people were still taking photos by the river. The women wore traditional or ethnic-inspired outfits, while photographers set up lights, turning the misty, rain-soaked Li River into a different kind of backdrop. Travel does not always bring perfect weather, but these changes are also part of the landscape's true character. Before leaving the platform, I looked back at Jijiang Tower in the fading light. It was first built in 1836 and later reconstructed, but its stone walls, arched gateway, and illuminated roof still made me feel as though I had stepped back in time. I walked up the steps and through the illuminated stone archway, as if briefly leaving old Yangshuo behind and stepping back into the present-day street. We continued along Binjiang Road. During the day, the Li River is visible from one side of the street, but after dark, the river faded into the night. Along the road were several wholesale shops selling ethnic-style clothing, with dresses and accessories commonly used for travel photography at fairly affordable prices. It was already close to 9 p.m., yet there were surprisingly few people along the riverside walkway. It hardly felt like the peak summer travel season. I guessed that the recent heavy rain had discouraged many people from going out. As we continued, An old-style gable wall bearing the illuminated Chinese characters, Yangshuo, caught our attention. We walked down the steps to the plaza for a closer look. When we turned around, we realized that the glowing word Yangshuo was framed by layers of karst mountains in the distance. It must be a beautiful photo spot during the day. My son continued down the steps, but soon turned back. The stairs leading to the lower level were already flooded, so we returned to the riverside walkway. Traditional style eaves and walls stood alongside bakeries, coffee shops, and more modern businesses. The mix did not feel out of place. It reflected how Yangshuo caters not only to local residents, but also to visitors from other cities and even other countries. We kept walking until we finally reached Longtushan Pier. Standing at the entrance, we hesitated for a moment. Since we had already come this far, should we go inside and take a look? In the end, we decided to go inside and take a look. The ticket and boarding booths were already closed, but the covered walkway remained open. What surprised us was not the pier itself, but the old houses and small storefronts still lining both sides of the walkway. Convenience stores and general shops remained open, and people occasionally passed by on electric scooters. Farther along, we unexpectedly found a bar glowing red. Music was playing inside, where a few people sat at the counter, a sharp contrast to the dark, quiet walkway outside. My son had never been to a place like this, so he stopped at the entrance and looked inside curiously. After taking a quick look, we continued down the walkway and passed a small Western-style cafe that was still lit up. Beyond the cafe, both sides of the walkway became almost completely dark. Only small Chinese-style lanterns beneath the eaves lit the path at intervals. The walkway was much longer than we had expected, and we could barely see where it ended. Fortunately, we still came across a few locals taking a leisurely evening walk. One of them told us that we could keep going and that the walkway stretched much farther ahead. Seeing how relaxed they were eased our concerns, so we decided to continue. That sense of reassurance did not come from bright lights, but from realizing that even at this late hour, in such a quiet place, local people still treated it as an ordinary evening walking path. Suddenly, heavy rain began pounding on the roof of the walkway, so we quickly turned back. The Western-style cafe we had casually passed earlier suddenly became the perfect place to take shelter. We decided to go inside, get something to eat, and wait for the rain to ease before leaving. The place had a casual, relaxed atmosphere. There was also a small stage with drums, guitars, and speakers, so they may host live music when it gets busy. We chose a table on the semi-open terrace by the river, where we could eat and listen to the rain. My son tapped along to the music and did not seem worried at all, while my husband relaxed with a beer. I sipped my coffee, but my mind was on Fuxi, who was alone at the guest house. By then, it was already after 10 p.m. Before we knew it, More than half an hour had passed. The other guests gradually left, and we were nearly finished eating. But the rain was only getting heavier. There seemed little point in waiting any longer. Since my husband had been drinking, I had to go and bring the car back. I borrowed a disposal rain poncho from the staff and made my way back along the same covered walkway, with scattered lights reflecting off the wet ground. I then continued toward where we had parked. Although it was already after 10 p.m., the streets were quiet and the rain was getting heavier. I still felt safe walking through a town I barely knew. That is something I truly value about living in China. I hope you'll come and visit China someday. I'll see you in the next video.